Okay, we're going over, this is Tuesday, January 28th, year of our Lord, 2020. Going over page 319, 2 through 22. We're on number 5. 5 over 2 is equivalent to 20 over 8. And just like you found equivalent fractions, you multiply them both by 4, and they're equivalent. How about number 6? No, because when you write 12 over 3 and you try to set it equal to 6 over 2, doesn't work. They're not equal. Number 8. How much are you paid per hour if you're paid $47.25 for 7 hours? How many did it like this? That's the way you should have set that up. That if it's $47.25 for 7 hours, right across from that, 1 hour. What would that be for 1 hour? Well, you divide it by 7, so you can divide by 7. What'd you get, fella? $6.75 an hour, and now the minimum wage is beyond that. I think minimum wage is like 8 something. $8.70.
They're trying to make it $12.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to make it more than that in some places, but so did I tell you that when I was in junior high, it was $2.85, I think. $2.85 an hour, man.
That's terrible.
So listen. So like have you ever heard a phrase, something like this? 20 is the new 10.
No.
Okay,
Yes.
so like back then, or now it's almost like 50 is the new 20, because when I first started working as a teenager, if I went to work and made $20 that day, that was pretty good, because I got $2.85 an hour. That'd be pretty good. Now, to you, $20 is nothing. 20. As a teenager back then, you had $20. You could you could actually go to a movie and actually buy popcorn.
Well, you can get $40 for it.
I know, $40.
Well, you can buy
a drink and popcorn.
Theater for $20.
And a movie? Yeah.
Not now.
All right, here we go. Yesterday we went over their error in number 9. Let's go down to numbers 10 through 17. I'm only going to give you the answers to number 12. First of all, 12 is -4 over 3, or -4 2 3, or -4 colon 3, and then I'll do number 15. Ready? 2 over 3, 2 2 3, 2 colon 3. I'll do one more. Number 17. -3 over 1, -3 2 1, -3 colon 1. 60 miles in an hour yesterday we said was
1 mile. 1 mile.
1 mile in a minute. Number 19. 32 ounces per serving. 2 pounds. 32 ounces is 2 pounds. Number 20. 105 minutes per game. How many hours? 1 3/4. 105 minutes, divide that by 60, you get 1 45/60. Everybody do that?
Yeah.
Yes, 1 3/4 or 1.75. Number 21, it's $1.44 per foot. How much is it per yard? What did you? 432. You have to multiply it by 3. And number 22, how they don't really ask you to calculate anything. How would you tell whether it was standard or wide? You would have to measure the length and width of your TV to see which one it fit, the 4x3 or the 16x9. Turn the page. This is not homework. Continuing with that, what you were doing, if there were 25 adults to 6 vehicles, how many adults in each vehicle? 4. 24 over 6. You're looking for the unit rate. Say that phrase. Unit rate means the denominator is going to be Unit rate means the denominator is going to be, one more time. Unit rate means the denominator is going to be 1. It's how many per 1. Whether in this case it's cars or feet or whatever. Number 24, negative 34 meters, 8 seconds. What is that as a unit rate? Somebody do the math real quick on your paper.
I don't know.
34 over 8, and they want to know what that is as a unit rate. What are you going to divide them both by? Unit rate, your denominator is 1. So you got to divide both by 8. What'd you get? 4.25, negative 4.25 per second. Everybody got that?
Yeah.
Number 27. Do this a little differently. They've got 2 rows of 5. How many total boxes are there?
5 to 10.
10 total boxes. Write the ratio of shaded to unshaded.
5.
How many are shaded?
5.
How many are unshaded?
5.
What's the ratio? 5 to 5 or 1 to 1?
Oh, yeah.
5 to 5 reduces to 1 to 1. Now listen, we're doing ratios. Is it okay to call that 1? No, because a ratio has to be written as a fraction. So it's not okay to say, oh, that's just 1. No, it's 1 to 1. You got it? Let's say you were making something. Jaden's cooking. She's baking. She's got a recipe going. It calls for every teaspoon of sugar, she needs a teaspoon of whatever.
Vanilla.
Salt would be too much. Vanilla. Okay. So for whatever. I don't know much about baking. But the ratio of the ingredients is 1 to 1. So if she wanted to make 5 servings, she would need 5 of one and 5 of the other because the ratio is 1 to 1. Number 28. Number 28. How many are shaded?
6.
How many are unshaded?
8.
So the ratio is 6 to 8. Reduce, that's
3.
3. Hi, come on in, Victor. Did you miss pre-algebra this much? Come on in.
I got it.
No,
All right, everybody got it? Read 4. Turn the page. Page 322. By the way, does anybody remember how confusing this was? When you didn't use what kind of focus? Who remembers the phrase? When you didn't use laser-like focus, how you got confused in rounding, estimating?
Did you ever tell I hate it, right? I don't remember that one.
I don't remember that.
I remember.
Who remembers learning about proportions last year?
No, I feel like we did that.
You did learn about proportions. Proportions are simply, listen, cut. Proportions are a fancy way of saying equivalent fractions or equivalent ratios. I say fractions, you say ratios. I say proportions, you say equivalent fractions, equivalent ratios. Again, we are having to increase or decrease the numerator and the denominator at the same rate in order for them to be equal. How many remember this? There are 2 ways to tell that those 2 things are equal. I can multiply them both by 2, and therefore they remain equal. Or, who remembers this? If I cross multiply and I get the same answer, That's another way to tell that the two ratios, notice I'm not saying fractions now, the two ratios are equivalent because when I cross multiplied, I got the same answer. Say amen if you've heard that before. You should have all said amen. That's definitely something that you learned the last 2 years. Okay, let's go. Based on that, let's go down to bottom of 322. We've got n over 12 equals 3/4. We need to know what n equals. Based on this, how could I set up an equation that's going to allow me to solve for n? Based on this, what am I going to write underneath here that's going to allow me to go back and use the basic algebra to solve for n? What needs to be true? Dominic.
Well, wouldn't you multiply 12 times 3 and n
Okay.
times 4?
Okay, so what's that equation going to look like? Dominic said what needs to be true is 12 times 3 needs to be the same as
N times
4 times n. Do you get that?
Yeah.
Because the cross products have to be equal in order for the ratio to be equal, then 4n has to be equal to 12 times 3. Kara? Okay, now back to basic algebra. 4n equals 36. How do I get rid of the 4? No, divide by 4. So what's n equal? 9. Number 2 down at the bottom of 322. Go. You're doing number 2, bottom of page 322. Hopefully you're done within the next 20 seconds.
Nope.
And you're done. Yes. Before I do it on the board. Listen, please stop the chatter. Based on cross products having to be equal, for the ratios to be equal, you're going to set up, just like I did, 4n had to be the same as 12 times 3. 4 times n has to be the same as 12 times 3. So in this case, 50 times 16 has to be the same as 20 times z. So let's see how that works.
Oh, that makes sense. Now I know how to do it.
What does z equal?
40.
You should be done.
I'm getting here.
Oh, where did that go?
That's what I did. All right. It's fine. I have a couple more.
If you did not get 40, first of all, if you didn't get done, you're not moving here. You got to get moving. And if you did get done and didn't get 40, no. You have, listen, in order for two ratios to be equivalent, their cross products have to be equivalent. So 20 times z has to be the same as 50 times 16, which is 800. How do you get rid of the 20? Divide by 20. Number 3. Since you're getting so good at this, now you only get 15 seconds, Bella.
Oh, great. I got it. Not. 15 seconds.
What, 10?
250 over 30.
I'm a slow mo.
What has to be true? Don't give me the answer yet, Noel. What has to be true in order for these to be equivalent ratios? What should I write as an equation?
32 equals
30t.
32. Wow. Yeah. 30t equals 250 times.
That has to be true if those two things are equivalent. 250 times 51. That is half of 25,000. So that's 12,500. That's 12,750. Am I right?
Yeah,
Wait,
you
when you
are
multiply
right.
with them, what is it?
12,750?
Yeah.
Who's with me on mental math? Ready, Isaac? 250 times 51. Here's the mental math process. 250 times 100 will be 25,000. Half of 25,000, 50 is half 100, is 12,500. Plus one more 250. Did anybody follow that?
I just did it.
Yeah. Kind of, but I would never do it.
Okay, so 30T equals 12,750. How do I get rid of the 30?
We divided by 30.
Divide by 30. And what is T?
Just wait.
I know it's got to be 400 something.
It's 4-2.
I know it's 420 something.
5.
425.
Oh, yeah, you guys are.
I don't like being I like it. Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah.
You're not hard.
No, I feel like has the
Bridges?
first-
Oh, I love it. Easy, but they're not fun. No, I like it. I don't, I like the other. You're probably my favorite thing in that. I like your
Okay, turn your attention to page 324.
I like
Is this a thing anymore? Because you've got all these devices to take your attention. Does anybody do well, first of all, does anybody do crossword puzzles? Probably not.
No.
Does anybody do jigsaw puzzles?
No.
I downloaded it.
I like crossword puzzles.
Okay,
It's another hard.
raise your hand if raise your hand if in the last year, you as a tween or teen sat and put a puzzle together
I did it
and did the whole thing.
It's called Monopoly.
I did one in the preschool.
I did.
I did it.
By the way,
Why are you looking at them so strangely?
I'm not looking at them straight.
Okay,
I'm
now,
proud of them.
how many,
By the way.
so about 8 hands were up. In the last year, how many put a model together of a car?
Yeah, definitely.
Really?
I have.
Well,
I'm so happy. Okay,
I love models.
like you go to the store, you buy a model kit, you've got all the parts with the glue and the, and you, a car, or, yep, a roller coaster. Not roll, not on computerized with your hands. All right,
I use more magic.
cut. Psst. Hello? So when you do a model, or you do a puzzle, or you make a map, there's something called a scale. So for instance, the map's on the board. The map on the wall, obviously, has a different scale than the one over there with just the United States on it. Every map has a scale because you can't do the actual size of the United States, right? You can't draw it. So you come up with a scale, like every inch is worth 100 miles, or every centimeter is worth 20 feet, whatever map you're making. Or when you do one of those models, a quarter inch is a foot or something, making a car with a model. So you understand that there's something called a scale, and it's kind of similar to unit rate. Every foot is 3 inches on the map. Or sometimes you can make a scale drawing. Let's say you were trying to draw a flea. Yeah. What would you if you were trying to draw a flea, Would you draw it larger than actual life, or like the maps we make smaller than actual life? How would you draw a flea? It would have to be no. It would have to be larger.
I would make it smaller.
So some scales, ladies and gentlemen, some scale drawings, you take the actual size and make it smaller, like a map. Some scale drawings, you got to take the actual size and make it bigger, because your drawing of a flea wouldn't do me any good if you tried to make it actual size. Stop. That's like the 5th time I've had to say stop. Example 3. Strawberry Point, Iowa has a strawberry sculpture that is 15 feet tall.
Wow.
Who lives down by the river? Wellsville, East Liverpool? Anybody in here?
I don't really know.
There's like a huge teapot. Anybody ever see it? I think it's across the, is it in Ohio or West Virginia? It might be in West Virginia.
We've been there. Yeah, we had a game there.
Down in West Virginia?
It's the biggest teapot ever.
Yes!
Yeah, it's like, I've been there.
Okay,
I've been there.
So-
We got lost.
I've been there.
so you went off, yeah, okay. Alright, so this town doesn't have a giant teapot, it has a giant strawberry. If the scale of this model is 10 feet, is 1 inch, how tall was the original strawberry?
Oh.
How tall is the statue of this strawberry? What'd they tell us? No, it's not. What's it say? Read it.
It's an inch and a half.
How tall is the strawberry?
Oh.
The original strawberry, the big strawberry.
15 feet.
Oh.
If the scale is 10 feet to 1 inch, and the model strawberry is 15 feet, what would this be? Your feet line up to feet, your inches line up to inches. How many inches was the original strawberry using the same 15? Let's say this is X. 15 times 1 has to equal 10X. 1.5 inches. The original strawberry was 1.5 inches. They took that and they blew it up to be not with a firecracker. They enlarged it to make it 15 feet. Because every 10 feet is 1 inch. Does you get that? All right, here's your work. Ready? Page 324, 325, numbers 2 through 23. Go. Bella, you know how a coach, if there's certain things that aren't going right, you'll work on it.
But no, if my birthday is so well.
So, no, they're not. Bella, you ever been on a team where you're doing well but the team isn't?
Yes.
Okay, so,
Funny you should say.
okay. 2 through 23, go. Yes.
I don't know. Oh yeah, I especially in that like 3 times.
We got Johnny and Seth are like,
Who's going to game tonight?
What?
Southern's got 1 loss.
I don't even know if they have 1 loss.
Girls and boys are playing tonight. Oh, girls junior high plays too?
No, it goes the girls' high school
Yeah,
and then the boys.
Yeah, girls varsity and guys varsity.
Yeah.
Southern has 1 loss.
The Southern local girls are really bad. The boys are really good. I don't know if the boys have lost one game. They might have lost one.
Columbiana.
They lost to Columbiana.
So the game next Tuesday is for all the marbles.
Oh.
Because Columbiana lost to Wells.
How did they lose to Wellsville?
No kidding, and Justin Brink didn't even play.
He didn't even play and they lost? That's kind of sad. Yeah,
So that's Columbiana's only loss.
That's gonna be a hard. That's gonna be a hard game for me. It's like Jake's player, I remember. That's gonna be hard.
It's like